Hi, everybody. Welcome to class this week. I'm just sort of doing class just between flights here. I'm just about to go to another one. Just got back from Hong Kong just the other day, and just wanted to have a class recorded for this week. I'm going to have to take a break for about a month or so because we're doing a retreat with Rinpoche up in Nelson for about 2 weeks, and then I'm going to the States to get some teachings from him. He's traveling there, and then have to do a little Dharma event in Toronto as well. So probably for the month of May, I'm not going to be able to have a live class or recording, but starting again in June, we'll sort of continue on with this course on Buddhist ethics. So today just wanted to do sort of shorter class on the precepts of aspiring bodhicitta. So the sort of vows you take, commitments you take when you take the Bodhisattva vow. Technically when you enter the Mahayana, the refuge vows we've been going over, refuge vows and commitments is just sort of like general Buddhism, the foundation or sort of small scope or sort of introductory path. And then as a Vajrayana Buddhist or Mahayana Buddhist, Vajrayana is of course form of Mahayana Buddhism, the key is to take the next step and take your Bodhisattva vow. So when you take your Bodhisattva vow, what are those vows and precepts? Okay, so we'll just go over that today, and then we have the vows and precepts, so the vows and commitments, and then for the remainder of the course here, we can talk about what they call the downfalls, or sort of how you break the different ways, sort of large and small ways that you break your Bodhisattva vow, and so how to steer away from those negativities, and then also how to promote sort of the virtues of those are the vices that allow you to have a downfall of the vows. What are the virtues that would allow you to strengthen and promote your bodhisattva vow as a practice? So we'll go over that in about a month's time or so when I'm back to after the retreats and so forth. Okay, so let's start with the Heart Sutra here. Homage to the profession of wisdom, the Blessed Mother. Thus I have heard at one time the Blessed One was dwelling in Rajgiri on Masvalter's mountain, to the great assembly of monks and nuns, great assembly of bodhisattvas. That time the Blessed One was absorbed in the concentration of countless aspects of phenomena called profound illumination. That time also Sri Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, was looking perfectly at the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom, looking perfectly also at the five aggregates being empty of inherent existence. Then through power of Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Sri Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, how should a son of the lineage train who wishes to engage in the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom? Thus he spoke, and Sri Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, replied to Venerable Shariputra as follows. Shariputra, whatever son or daughter of the lineage wishes to engage in the practice of profound perfection of wisdom should look perfectly like this. Subsequently, looking perfectly and correctly also at the five aggregates being empty of inherent existence. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is none other than form, and form is none other than emptiness. Likewise, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Try to put you like this, all phenomena are emptiness, having no characteristics. They are not produced and do not cease. They have no defilement, no separation from defilement. They have no decrease and no increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, and no consciousness. There is no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mentality, no form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no tactile object, um, no body, no sound, no smell, no tactile object, no phenomenon. There is no I element, and so forth, up to no mentality element, and also up to no element of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance, no exhaustion of ignorance, and so forth, up to no aging and death, and also no exhaustion of aging death. Likewise, there's no suffering, origin, cessation, or path, no exalted awareness, no attainment, also no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, because there's no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and abide in the perfection of wisdom. Their minds have no obstructions and no fear. Passing utterly beyond perversity, they attain the final nirvana. Also, all Buddhas reside perfectly in the three times, having relied upon the perfection of wisdom, became manifest, complete Buddhas in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the equal and unequal mantra, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, since it's not false, should be known as the truth. The mantra of perfection of wisdom is proclaimed, Tayata Om Gata Gata Paragata Parasamgati Bodhisattva. Shariputra Bodhisattva, great beings should train the profound perfection of wisdom like this. Then the Blessed One arose in that concentration and said to Sparavaksvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, that he'd spoken well. Good, good, O son, just like that, since it's like that, just as you have revealed, in that way the profound perfection of wisdom should be practiced, and the Tathagatas will also rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Venerable Shariputra, Spirit of Akshara, the Bodhisattva, the Great Being, and the entire circle of disciples, as well as worldly beings, gods, humans, demigods, and spirits, were delighted and highly praised what had been spoken by the Blessed One. Okay, so there we go. Let's just take a moment to do our meditation here, just to sort of start, to be able to sort of usher in all the positive energy and purify negativities that we have just studied the Dharma here. So again, beautiful wide open space, ground like lapis lazuli, beautiful blue sky like a gnome above us, and ourselves surrounded by all sentient beings of cyclic existence. Mother on our left, Father on our right, people we love the most as support behind us, people we like the least as objects of prayer, compassion, healing, and balance. And moving up from there, sentient beings from all the different realms of samsara. So we can think of human beings from all different backgrounds and places with us, like a family, all different kinds of animal beings, all different natural forms of life here, ecosystems, beings from the earth, sky, and sea. The whole spirit world here, all the intermediate bardo states, different realms, astral, ethereal, elemental planes, and so forth, are all here with us. Celestial beings like demigods and different kinds of gods like desire, formless, and form realm gods. And countless beings in lower states of existence, suffering, lower realms of the hungry ghosts and hell beings. Okay, so now in the beautiful sky, we're all just here as a big sort of sentient being family meditating. In the sky in front of us, like a beautiful golden sun, is Buddha Shakyamuni. Buddha Shakyamuni is like form of a monk, Buddhist monk with a golden energy body or light body. We're in the three robes of monk in this position. His left hand is holding a begging bowl of medicinal nectar, and right hand is touching the earth with the subduing mudra, just glowing like the sun. And then at his heart is his higher form, the divine couple, Conqueror Vajradhara and Vajradhara in sexual embrace. And she's sitting in his lap with her arms around his neck. And they wear crowns and jewelry and so forth. They're very young and very beautiful. And he holds a bell in his left hand, Vajra scepter, Dorji in his right. She has a curved knife or chopper knife in her right hand, Vigu, and Tsongkhapa, medicinal nectar in her left. And between them is the seed syllable for the enlightened mind, Dharmakaya mind, Hum, H-U-M, radiating out light. So taking refuge here as in all sentient beings, we go I and all sentient beings to each of them, go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. I and all sentient beings to each of them, refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. I and all sentient beings to each of them, go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Through the virtues we collect by giving other perfections, may we become a Buddha for the benefit of all. Through the virtues we collect by giving other perfections, may we become a Buddha for the benefit of all. And through the virtues we collect by giving other perfections, may we become a Buddha for the benefit of all. So with this, generating this bodhicitta mind, mind of the awakening mind here, mind of enlightenment, just we have as our intention here, whatever we're doing here today, we should be doing in general in our life, but especially here today, meditating and studying together, may it be for the awakening or the full enlightenment of all sentient beings. May all of our virtues and good habits and spiritual practice push us into sort of allow us to ripen, sort of reveal our enlightenment. And once we do that, we will spend all of our time just leading all sentient beings to the exact same state by the same path. Good intention here. And now the four immeasurables. May everyone be happy. May everyone be free from misery. May no one ever be separated from their happiness. And may everyone have equanimity, free from hatred and attachment. So generating love, just wanting all beings to be happy, compassion, wanting all sentient beings not to suffer. Joy, wanting them sort of supreme, almost inhuman happiness of nirvana, just sort of a bliss and contentment and joy without dissatisfaction or angst or anything, without limit. And equanimity, which is being beyond hope and fear, beyond anger and attachment, but having sort of a warm, open, caring attitude, sort of friendly attitude towards all. 7 limb practice here: prostration, offering, confession, rejoicing, requesting all holy beings to sustain the teach and dedication. So again, the prostration from our hearts here, showing divine sort of love and respect here, honoring that. Buddha Shakyamuni as a symbol, manifestation of our own awake nature. Prostrations, opening our heart as an offering to Buddha. Having a mind of total giving here, just sort of emanating out flowers and so forth, beautiful things. Confession and rejoicing, so we can sort of declare or stand up or own our negativities, our bad habits, our failings that we all know or other people call us on. And saying from the Buddha and all sentient beings that we're going to work on this and transcend this, purify it, let it go, grow and educate ourselves. And also rejoice on the work we've done so far. Rejoice in all the goodness in the world. Rejoice in all the virtue and positive qualities of sentient beings around us. And the great sort of saints and holy beings as well. Now offering up Dharma chakra and the throne here. So we can just sort of offer up a Dharma sort of line throne first. Always say, please, Buddha Shakyamuni and all holy beings, all of our gurus, please always remain in our lives, always be with us. Always be a presence in our lives, a teaching presence. And again, this goes with our offering up a golden 8-spoked wheel, Dharma wheel, which is please continue to teach us, guide us towards enlightenment. So always keeping that channel open, receiving the teachings and the guidance. And now dedication, just whatever we do today, just even together here or throughout our day, just may it all be put towards the awakening or enlightenment of all beings. Last offering, which is purified universe of the mandala here, held at our hearts. We offer up to Buddha Shakyamuni and all holy beings. We go to the ground sprinkled with perfume. Spread the flowers, a great mountain, 4 lands, sun and moon, seen as a Buddha land, and offer thus all beings enjoy such pure lights. Om Inam Guru Ratnam Dalakam Nirvatiyam Me. Okay, we send forth this jeweled mandala to you, precious gurus. Having said this, we can just feel that just golden light from Buddha Shakyamuni's heart, from the heart of Vajradhar and Vajradhatushvari, is coming down like sunlight, sunbeams for ourselves and others, all sentient beings around us, and just this golden energy sort of going throughout the crowd here, empowering us, raising our vibration and so forth, our spiritual power. And again, we're receiving power and wisdom and compassion, and just feel joy and bliss. And just a great sort of openness or revealing here. So again, just going from sort of a lower state of power, kind of like when you're down and depressed and feel very kind of alienated and stuck and kind of like contracted. And then just like the sun comes out with the flower, it opens up and we can just feel all this positive affirmative energy. Best Buddha Shakyamuni, please grant us your blessings of body, speech, and mind. You are the mindless and small Buddha jewels. Body sense of all Sangha jewels, I should say, speech sense of all Dharma jewels, and mind sense of all Buddha jewels. So the three jewels, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha being expressed by the Buddha's body, speech, and mind, kind of like all tied together in a big symbol. Please grant us these blessings. So with that, we can just feel that Buddha Shakyamuni starts to melt into light, golden light, and sort of dissolve inward into his higher form, Vajradhara and Vajradhara. So they're in the sky now, like a beautiful blue diamond or piece of lapis. Please grant us your blessings. And it's like a little shining star, almost like the North Star is coming down, like a little, again, like a shooting star, so but slow, comes to the crown of her head, and then enters our crown chakra, central channel in front of our spine, and descends to her heart. It then mixes with our root mind. And just feel that our mind and Buddha's mind become one. Like they always say, one glass of water poured into another. All the wisdom, compassion, power, and love that is going directly into us, just like an injection, just like medicine, or kind of like vitamins or something going right in on an energetic level, and merging our mind with Buddha's here. Great spaciousness, joy, and bliss, and awareness. Okay, just coming out of meditation here, just a little short one for today. Again, feeling that our mind has been blessed here, given sort of energy, Jinlap, or waves of inspiring strength. Just feel that our mind's sort of been raised to a more positive state of energy here with this blessing as we start our class. Okay, so just looking at my phone here, just little notes I just wanted to talk about. So the what they call the precepts of aspiring bodhicitta. So bodhicitta, we can talk about what they call when you take the entering the Mahayana path, or a great vehicle, great scope, big view Buddhism. The thing is, rather than just shooting as the main goal of just becoming an arhat, or finding liberation from the obstacles to knowledge, obstacles to liberation, all our intellectual and sort of delusions, experiential delusions of our ego and grasping at inherent existence. This is all removed from a direct and stable experience of emptiness, yogic direct perceiver, as they say, your mind and emptiness becoming one, and you're liberated from samsara. And an arhat, or saint, or foe destroyer, you sort of overcome all the foes or enemies, which are your own internal enemies, the grasping at inherent existence, which leads to a self-cherishing mind at the expense of other people and other things, and then all the suffering that's incurred by creating negative karma through our actions of body, speech, and mind. Of course, this is all sort of erased, and you find the bliss of nirvana and sort of have completed your spiritual education. And of course, Mahayana is where it's not just about staying there, but progressing further, about overcoming dualism entirely. So at this point, there's no longer, we have, but you say that we not just have overcome the obstacles to liberation, reach nirvana, but reach full enlightenment, which is we overcome the obstacles to omniscience. And at that point, Our mind no longer has any dualistic appearance. Our mind and reality sort of become one. There's no separation whatsoever. And we reach full enlightenment as a Buddha, whose only job then is to emanate bodies out everywhere, angels out, becoming in the angelic form to all beings and teaching them the same path of how to reach full enlightenment through the Mahayana grounds and paths after having a direct experience of emptiness. So that's, the Mahayana in brief, very sort of cursory, kind of a little bit more of a superficial explanation there. But that's what it means to practice in the Mahayana or Big View Buddhism. And to do that, we enter the gate of Mahayana, the Mahayana vehicle, so to speak. Hop in the car with the keys. And the keys for that is the Bodhisattva vow, where you actually take a vow to all sentient beings that you're going to embark on this process of self-education of becoming a Buddha, sort of graduating samsara fully. So it's not just graduating high school into nirvana, but going on for your university or college education, and then the PhD or whatever, becoming the big professor, is becoming a Buddha. Or at that point, you're a lawyer, a social worker, whatever. You've gone through your full education. You just don't just have high school of nirvana. Of course, that's not to denigrate nirvana in any way, but it's the idea of just going a little bit further in your self-education after having had the sort of stable experience of emptiness. So taking the Bodhisattva view, the famous Bodhisattva vow. And as you know, there's in LamRim, I mean, there's, this is, you could spend decades of your life studying this. It's just so subtle and profound. But they talk about the three different images of how to be a Bodhisattva: the king-like Bodhisattva, the shepherd-like Bodhisattva, or the boatman Bodhisattva, the ferry conductor, sort of ferry driver, I guess, or captain of the ferry, so to speak. So which one's sort of the proper understanding of having your Bodhisattva vow and completing the path? So the one you usually hear, maybe not as much anymore, but I remember when I was younger, is sort of the shepherd-like thing. So just like the shepherd gets all the flock into the corral for the evening, or sort of bring them back and put the fence up to keep them safe from wolves or predators or whatever, you're the last ones, like sort of shutting the door and turning off the lights after everyone's left the room. So you're the last one. You bring all your sheep or your goats in or something, then you enter in last. So this is idea that you stay in samsara till you get all sentient beings out of samsara, so till they all graduate, and then you're the last guy standing, and then you close the door and shut off the lights to samsara, and samsara is finished. That's one way of looking at it. And this is a way, a lot of times rhetorically, they use this as a way of inspiring, oh my goodness, I want to be like this. I'm not leaving anybody behind, no one left behind, kind of like a commando mission or something. You don't leave anyone behind. You always have to go get the guys that are stuck or people that are left behind. You go get them. Then there is the ferry example, just like the ferry here in BC taking you to the island, or ferries anywhere. It's like you and all the sentient beings go from samsara to nirvana at the same time, all as a big gang. Get everybody together. It's like the teacher with all the kids at school walking down the street. They all hold a little string, or they've all got little t-shirts in their ball. You hustle them all together, and you and all sentient beings go to enlightenment that way. And then there's the what they call king-like, or I guess you could say queen-like or royal person example. Again, this always comes off as a little feudal for modern sensibilities, I'm sure, but it's this idea that if you're in the royal family, the prince or the princess or whatever, and then eventually you become the monarch, the sovereign of the state, and then you can benefit your population. You can't do very much as just a prince or princess or this kind of thing. And so at this point, what can you do? You have to sort of wait till you're at sort of more of a position of power to do something. I guess it's just like becoming the CEO. You can't start just on the floor or be sort of lower management or middle management to really run the corporation. You have to go all the way to the top. Then you can make those kinds of decisions. So it's this idea that you have to become a Buddha first. Only then can you really help people in any way. How can you, if you don't haven't entered enlightenment yourself, how would you know how to bring anyone else there? So they always say is that the other two are very inspiring, but the only one that really works is that if you get enlightened first. So everyone else is kind of hanging on, so to speak, until you get fully awakened. And at that point, you are just this absolutely incredible holy being beyond any human imagination, just basically fueled by love and compassion, who 24/7, all you do is teach the path of awakening, them to a path of Buddhism and emptiness to all sentient beings without exception. So this is like, in a lot of ways, you're in training now to sort of become the CEO or the monarch once you take the Bodhisattva vow. It's almost like you've been born in a royal family, you're born lower management, and you say, I take this vow that this is my process, this is my educational approach. I'm in training to get this the top job, CEO job, so to speak, of becoming a Buddha. So that's what taking all these vows is for, entering the gate, the Bodhisattva vow. And like I said, you can, in the old days, I mean, even I got this maybe about 25, 30 years ago now, where there's like a refuge ceremony where a lot of times even you'll take the Bodhisattva vow there. And it's the idea that it's over lifetimes. So of course, there's no way you can do this in one life. So it's this vow that until I reach enlightenment, I don't stop. I just, lifetime after lifetime, this is my big educational process. This is the path. This is the plan. This is sort of the job, the holy job that's bigger than me. So there was a famous psychoanalyst, Neo-Freudian Jack Lacan, called it the Bodhisattva paradox, that the Bodhisattva can't enter nirvana first before all sentient beings, because that would be selfish, putting themselves first. But then it's kind of like a self-contradiction. They want to get enlightened, but then they can't get enlightened because that's being selfish. So they're kind of stuck in this loop and they can't progress. Of course, that's complete misunderstanding of the path. Of course, it's not that this is it where you sort of have to stay behind or can't do anything, become enlightened, because that would be some sort of selfish, self-absorbed, narcissistic act of trying to be Buddha, whereas I want to help all sentient beings. I should stay and just be a normal person and humble person and not get enlightened. But of course, if that was true, then nothing would ever change. You wouldn't leave samsara, nor would anyone else be helped out of samsara. So it's a wrong view of how, of course, the Bodhisattva path works. Your whole point is to get enlightened. And then as you're going along this path, all you're doing is helping and caring for people. And once you get to the end and be fully enlightened, you sort of, your whole life at that point as a divine being is just doing this until all sentient beings have graduated, have reached that exact same space. So you're pulling people up one by one, sentient beings up, and then they become enlightened, and then they help you. So there's more and more Buddhas there helping all sentient beings out of samsara. But you can see it's a process, I guess, almost like the Matrix movie, where everyone kind of gets out one at a time. So this is why we talk about these things taking aeons, like a realm of time that's just beyond imagination, like the Zen vows, where it's just like, I can't remember the four of them, but it's like, like Dharma gates are endless. I vow to enter every one of them. Sentient beings are numberless without limit. I vow to save each one of them. It is kind of almost like this impossible vow that you take, but you just keep at it one by one by one with each of your actions. And of course, this gets accelerated and something that's possible once you reach nirvana, once you see emptiness. And of course, with bodhicitta, at that point, the path of seeing, when you see emptiness directly, you automatically go on the first of 10 paths of the Bodhisattva bhumis, which represent the path of meditation, her habituation to seeing emptiness. But you're seeing emptiness with this incredible motivation, that a path that benefits all sentient beings. Everything you do is for the benefit of all beings. So you're getting rid of all the obstacles of omniscience, one after the other, to seeing the two truths, conventional reality and ultimate reality, directly, non-conceptually, with a mind of a yogic direct perceiver, non-conceptual mind, till you reach the path of no more learning. So at each of these different bhumis, you get a different perfection, like the 6 perfections and then 4 more on top. This is a whole sort of separate class to go on. But your Bodhisattva vow, these precepts are the sort of little recipe that you're using, or the toolbox, so to speak, to jumpstart this program, to get on this. So what are them? There's 8 of them here. So the 8 precepts of aspiring bodhicitta. And of course, again, it's kind of like a self-perfection plan. It's not a law. It's not like Buddha's, again, handing you laws that you have to obey and you're punished for transgressing them or something. These are kind of sort of almost like a virtue ethics of performing a particular role or having a whole set of virtues or perfections that you do, or positive qualities, positive habits that are creating the karma to move this process forward. So there's 8 of them here. 1, remember the benefits of bodhicitta 6 times a day. 2, generate bodhicitta 6 times a day. 3, not to abandon any living being. 4, to accumulate merit and wisdom. 5, not to cheat or deceive our preceptors or spiritual guides. 6, not to criticize those who have entered the Mahayana. 7, not to cause others to regret their virtuous actions. And 8, not to pretend to have good qualities or hide our faults without a special pure intention. So very interesting. So what are the, going over a little bit more detail here. Remember, it's a bodhicitta 6 times a day. So of course, 6 times 4 is 24 hours. So if every 4 hours you remember the benefits, and again, like I said, just like the benefits for refuge, I'll tell you what these benefits are. There's about, I think, 12 of them or so. 10 of them, sorry, I should say 10 benefits of generating bodhicitta. When we remember those benefits, then it inspires us to generate bodhicitta. So we have to do that, remember the benefits all the time, and then also generate bodhicitta. So this is where they have all the bodhisattva activities, where you always say everything is for the benefit of others. I'm drinking this cup of tea for the benefit of others. How can I help? Just being helpful, caring for others at all times. I'm trying to do that, but also I'm dedicating that action, trying to see it in a wider perspective. May whatever I'm doing here, all the positive stuff, may it be a cause for the awakening of all sentient beings. I'm having as an intention and a dedication all the time to doing that. And so this is the bodhisattva path. How can I care? How can I help others? May this be cause for the awakening, liberation of all sentient beings from samsara. Okay, not to abandon any living being. So technically, when you generate bodhicitta, you have to save everybody without exception, even the lowest of the low, the people you don't like, people that have hurt you, so-called evil people in the world. They're all suffering sentient beings. All of them have Buddha nature. They all have that divine heritage. They're all destined to reach awakening, and it's your job to help them get that, to move to that process of self-education or self-awareness. And so you can't pick and choose. You have to save all sentient beings without exception. This Nietzsche is one of my favorite philosophers, and of course he said his obstacle to affirming eternal return of the same. In other words, would I live my life almost eternally or infinitely without picking or choosing anything or subtracting or add, just taking it as it is, loving it so much I'd live it over and over and over again. He said the two obstacles for that are my mother and my sister, whom I don't like my doting reactive Christian mother and my anti-Semitic mean-spirited sister. It's like I can't do it because of those two, because I don't want to, the idea of being with them endlessly just drives me crazy because I don't like them. It's sort of the same thing here, in the sense that you want to save all sentient beings from suffering, bring them all to enlightenment, except X, Y, and Z, these people who I don't like, I don't want to save them, right? But technically, from bodhisattva and bodhicitta point of view, you can't make that judgment. You can't make that addition or subtraction. You have to save everybody. Fourth one, accumulate merit wisdom, of course, positive virtues and good energy and good karma, and eliminate the bad karma or vices, negative actions. Not to cheat or deceive our preceptors or spiritual guides. So we always have to have the integrity and honesty when we're dealing with our teachers. They're the ones, as our teachers, teaching us this path. So we can't be crooked or liars, sort of have a negative approach, attitude, or relationship with them. This is because that's just increasing your delusions, your self-cherishing. You're not going to see emptiness or generate bodhicitta with that. Not to criticize those who have entered the Mahayana. So we can't be cynical in criticizing other people that are Buddhists or entered the Mahayana, or even people trying to live lives of virtue, love, and compassion. We're trying to be that way as soon. We're sort of supporting each other. We're inspirations for one another. We can't be arrogant, judgmental, cynical about this, because that becomes a block for our own development of bodhicitta. You can think that if we're cynical and judgmental of others, we'll ultimately cynical and judgmental of ourselves, and other people will be cynical and judgmental of us. So that becomes an obstacle holding us back from generating bodhicitta. Not to cause others to regret their virtuous actions. So we rejoice in virtue. That's what's going to bring all of us forward to enlightenment is virtue and positive energy and good karma. So never regretting that, whatever it is. And then this is the hard one a little bit, not to predict to have good qualities or higher faults of special pure intention. This is a little bit harder. We have to be skilled. We can't sort of pretend we're something we're not, or hide our bad qualities, or basically lie or give a false impression. It says, unless with a special pure intention. So we'd have to have, of course, the wisdom and skill to be able to do that properly and not to basically be a fraud, right? I mean, we have to have enough practice and skill to know that if it's a way of helping somebody, we might have to, at least for the time being, hold back in some way, or maybe not say something as a way to get them to progress. This is very touchy and very difficult, of course, which is why, again, we need good practice, good skill, good wisdom, and then help from our teachers to make these kinds of decisions. So they're proper educated choices and skilled choices, that they don't increase more problems, bring more suffering into the world. So generating bodhicitta. So these are the 8 things that help you generate bodhicitta and to walk the path of bodhisattva, the path of heroes and heroines, or to be a heroic bodhisattva warrior is conquering yourself, conquering your negative karma, caring for others. So it's almost like the chivalrous ideal of being a knight in the Middle Ages. I think even in the Islamic faith, where they have this as one of the principles, where you have to take care of people that are sick, people that are needy. We have to sort of generalize that to all sentient beings in samsara. So I am a warrior overcoming all my negativities, my ignorance, my hatred and anger, my attachment, my obsession, my judgmental mind, all my inner obstacles and inner demons, so to speak. I'm a hero fighting that, overcoming that, but also I'm like a knight in the sense, or like the old sort of samurai Bushido code, where, it's about also caring for people, being helpful, taking care of people. When someone asks for help, being there for them, and having as our main intention the enlightenment or sort of salvation from suffering of all beings without exception. You are all sentient beings, kind of servant and helper at this case. May I help all beings, be the helper of all beings, help all of us self-educate ourselves to enlightenment. So generating bodhicitta, to do this, we remember the benefits of bodhicitta. So when I'm generating bodhicitta, what happens? And again, if I remember this, it makes me want to generate bodhicitta. Well, we enter the gateway of the Mahayana. We enter the sort of path of the bodhisattvas. We become a son or daughter, or a child of the Buddhas. We're on their way to become enlightened. So it's almost like we're part of the Buddha. We all have Buddha nature anyway, but literally at this point, you're in the training. It's like you're going to become a lawyer, doctor, a social worker. You're the first year freshman or whatever, and sort of the senior ones are teaching you. All the Buddhas, or the graduated people, the professors teaching you to come the same way. So you're part of this family, your team at the entry level there. We surpass hearers and solitary realizers. So people that are just practicing by themselves to realize emptiness, escape nirvana. This is kind of like a bigger project of not just doing it for yourself, but all sentient beings who are just like a family. So it's like we're surpassing in merit and energy, because it's sort of a wider, sort of bigger scope, bigger view, bigger plan here, bigger project. We surpass hearers and solitary realizers. We become worthy to receive offerings and prostrations from humans and gods. So if you're very sincere and really, really trying hard, this is such an incredible incredible goal, incredible project you're on, incredible journey, incredible odyssey. It is worth. It's kind of like other, like gods and spirits and people can sing songs about. It's like, wow, that person's really trying. Like they're our hero. We're not doing this, of course, to be rich and famous or whatever, but in a sense, kind of on a spiritual level, you become worthy of that kind of praise. That it's just like, wow, the journey, the kind of Lord of the Rings journey they're embarking on, Frodo going all the way to Mordor. That's what a hero, what a brave person, what an amazing person to do this. We rejoice. The only reason they're doing this is for us, and they're overcoming all these obstacles, and it's so difficult. Like, what an amazing thing this is. We can write a poem or song about them, right? 5 and 6 is we accumulate a vast amount of merit doing it, of course, positive energy, good karma, and we quickly destroy our powerful negativities or bad karma. 7, we fulfill all of our wishes. So our wishes for being like the bliss and joy that we so seek, the true happiness and contentment, the real sort of, I guess, center of our wishes, what we really want to be, that sort of peace, centered contentment, happiness, and love in our life, we will get by the good karma ripening of being on this path. We are free from harmful spirits and so forth. So, especially with bodhicitta, you're no longer target to evil influences because you don't have an ego. So this is the case, like with let's say trick practitioners or cutting practice practitioners in Tibet, where they always say, like, demons and spirits or whatever can't harm them, because they're more worried about the suffering and happiness of the spirits, evil spirits and demons, than they're about themselves. Or they have no self-cherishing whatsoever. So that's always a story they have. It's a bunch of stories where, so, like, say, spirits or monsters come to attack some yogi or yogini, and they're like, wow, they want to, they're jealous of them or something. They want to attack them. Then they're like, wow, this person loves me so much and cares about me so much, is trying to get enlightened for my benefit, to help me and care about my suffering. How could I do anything to hurt them? They care more about me than about their own welfare. Like, if anything, I'm going to prostrate to them. They're like my mom and dad. They care for me and love me so much. So it's just like, many times the kind of evil spirits, they're like, oh, they kind of get confused. They're like, I wanted to hurt this person, and now I see that, how can I hurt them when they're trying to help me? I'm sort of hurting myself, which is silly, right? So that's the way you really become protected from this. We accomplish all the spiritual grounds and paths as the night benefit. Of course, all of the 5 paths of Buddhism, which is, of course, paths of accumulation, preparation, seeing or insight, seeing emptiness, habituation or meditation, and then no more learning or full enlightenment, and then the 10 bodhisattva bhumis, or bodhisattva grounds that you can study, for the 6 perfections and 4 extra perfections, making 10 total before you reach full enlightenment as a Buddha. And then 10, we have a state of mind that is a source of peace and happiness for all beings. So what's really beautiful about this is that when you generate bodhicitta in a real genuine way, that is the mind of enlightenment. That's what Buddha is. That kind of love and compassion, caring for all beings like your children, that is the source of goodness, uh, and happiness and contentment and joy and bliss and wisdom, the interconnectedness, seeing everything as being related and all one. That mind is the source of all goodness and light in the world. So just, you know, you are bringing light into the darkness of samsara by generating that mind. And when you generate that mind sincerely and very earnestly, you are like an enlightened being and an angel in this world. And you are a light to all sentient beings. You are a goodness for all sentient beings. You are a healing for all sentient beings. So Lama Zopa Rinpoche, who just recently departed us into Parinirvana, he always had one of his books I remember reading. He said, bodhisattvas benefit the world or all beings just by being there, just by being in the world, just even just being themselves. Their very presence is light and goodness and care and healing to all sentient beings, just by them generating, just being the kind of person that they are. And I remember there's philosopher Slavoj Žižek, he was saying there's this famous Jewish, famous kind of activist and Jewish political leader that went, Polish, that went through World War II and the Holocaust. And he fought in the Warsaw Ghetto, Jewish ghetto uprising against the Nazis, and then in the Warsaw uprising in particular, and was critical of fascism and communism after the war, and really speaking up on behalf of victims of war. It was amazing, and stayed in Poland until his death. But what was great, there's a great line where he said he benefited people just by being who he was. He liberated people by being a source of freedom and liberation. So just being himself was a huge example and inspiration for everybody around him. Just him being in the world, being himself, made a difference. And so this is the thing, is nowadays we're always, again, not that it's bad, because it's good to run around and try and change the world. But if you generate bodhicitta, you are changing the world just by being who you are. Just really sincerely having that as your intention, you're bringing light and goodness, love and compassion into the world. And that does ripple out. That does become an example to others. That does inspire others to be that way. So just by being, you can be doing. Just by being, you can affect a change. Just by sitting on your butt, meditating, that can have an impact. That can be the light. And that's what was his name? It was a famous French Catholic critic. I can't remember now, it's going to come back to me. I forget. Anyway, just to move ahead, he was Kenneth Rexroth, famous beat poet, used to quote him all the time. It's going to bug me now. He was, I studied him in high school. Anyway, there was a quote. He was a little more mystic, sort of a little bit more traditional Catholic. In the 1950s, they asked him. Of course, he was very critical of, you know, sort of consumerism, secularism, communism, fascism. I mean, he's a big critic in the 20th century. But what was interesting is they asked him once in the press, the media, they said, "You're always talking about the end of our Western civilization, the end of the world, all these bad things happening. Um, what's a message of hope? What can keep us going? You're only talking about bad things. Like, if everything's so bad, falling apart, why are we still here? What's holding the world together?" And it was interesting. In the 1950s, were a time of great political activism and, you know, this and that, and politics and problems and this. And he said, the only thing that holds the world together now are the prayers and practice of contemplatives in all traditions in the world, like in their hermitages. And of course, when he said this, everyone just made fun of him, like, what an idiot. He's like some medieval guy from the Middle Ages. Like, who thinks that this is so stupid? How can someone meditating or prayer or praying have any effect on anything? That's just a cop out. It's just so silly and superstitious. But really what he's getting at is precisely this. By being that way, it preserves the light in the world, the goodness and the compassion, the care and the wisdom. And that does have an effect. That is, as Kenneth Rexroth would say, Buddhism can't change the world, but it could save it. So it's not like all of a sudden by doing all this stuff, everything instantly becomes better and the world becomes change. You know what I mean? Oh, my, for the better, we're living in a paradise on earth. It's rather that Buddhism saves the world, or this kind of practice doesn't have to be Buddhist. If it's this kind of practice, could be, you know, like Christianity or another mystical form of bodhicitta being expressed that way through love and compassion. But it's like it saves the heart. So the German poet Holderlin said, in great disaster, whatever, this lies the saving power too. So it's this idea of the inner goodness or inner light in your heart of bodhicitta. That's the medicine. It's the spark that will lead all beings to enlightenment. But even as it is in and of itself, as an intention, it is what redeems or saves the world. That's what sort of turns the light on and extinguishes, blows out sort of the bad samsara. Okay, so there we go. That's I got to go to work. So that's that, and we'll talk more about that soon when we go over just the Bodhisattva vows, downfalls, and commitments in a little bit more detail next time. Okay, so let's dedicate this. Blessings of all holy beings, the truth of karma, and the pure spirit intention of bodhicitta. May all our dharma wishes be fulfilled, and all sentient beings reach awakening. So we can really think, just like, may all sentient, like, really generate this intention as much as we can. May everything we do be the cause for the enlightenment of all sentient beings. Okay, great. See you next time. Bye-bye.